Hey YouTube, it's Dimitri, and today we're going to talk about tolerance and value. So these are interesting things. Let me just kick this off here with the story. I'm sitting at a desk here at one of these firms, and a group of individuals come to them. They pitch this model. I am sitting there as a model validator, and the first piece in my head as this is going is these people are idiots. And rightfully so. The academic rigor, the presentation of the model, everything about it was completely awful. I wouldn't even submit this as a junior project for a student. It was so poorly done. And I'm sitting there just irritated, like this is just ridiculous. I can't believe this is being submitted at, XYZ firm here. So taking a step back in the quant career with this and looking at this as the point of tolerance and kind of the value add within individuals and within people here. People know I'm very critical of the quantitative finance industry as a whole. When I was much younger, and I think the reason I'm making this video is many people relate to this, especially in the quant space of you want to get to some sort of, I don't even want to call it a pinnacle, but it's some sort of expertise, some sort of like, I am really a quant, and you stamp it and that is what you are. And I sat through a lot of my junior career looking at this, like these people in different positions, in different roles, in different firms, whether I'm networking, whether I'm working, I'm like judging them in this junior position of mine of like, these are not real quants. They don't have the same amount of rigor. These are not leading experts in this field. And yet this is a very damaging piece to your career development cycle. And luckily I figured this out quite young. There were other pieces in life that kind of put this together as well. But when you're in this space, you have to realize tolerance is critical, and you don't always need to be right. You don't always need to express your disapproval or even the academically wrong pieces that come through the door. And this just killed me when I was very, very young in my career. A model would come through and I'm just like, I've got to say something. Like there's 20 things wrong with this. I can see at the cover of it. Tests that weren't done, tests that were misinterpreted, calculations that weren't done correctly. Like this is a complete garbage mess. And it's hard to sit back and realize like, okay, what is my role in this situation? Is this going to make a difference? So when I was in model validation, right, often that was my job. That's why in many cases I loved doing it. When I was at the banks, I was really, really into my model validation job, my work. I ate, slept, and breathed, quant finance and stats and math and looking at tests and assumptions. And that was the fun part of the job for me of going into that process here. But also you have to start taking a step back of, does it even matter in the grand scheme of things? And that was one of the things I think that validation taught me a lot of, which was, yes, we can go in and find a bunch of issues, but is this material? Is this going to really impact the business? Now, there were cases when it did, and there were cases when it didn't. And learning how to pick your fights, when do you die on that hill of do or die? I will kill this model and I will make you redo this entire project, whether it's a 6-month or 12-month project. And yes, there were projects that were failed where senior staff, MDs, heads of departments were fired over it. Yeah, it gets bloody. This is part of the corporate world and the investing side of this. But going back to this on the tolerance piece of, I've now sat, even like on LinkedIn, I see posts and I'm like, I don't agree with this. This is bad advice. This is wrong advice. Should I go in and correct people? And the reality is no, you just have tolerance. Like you tolerate the post. Part of this again is going to tie into now the value piece of this is looking at individuals as valuable assets, right? I know it seems a little cold on the quant side of this, but it's really looking at things of like, you build relationships with people and it's not necessarily because they are right 100% of the time, right? I can tell you, I don't agree with anybody 100% of the time. So I would have no friends, no family, no relations, nothing. The tolerance piece comes over time. And when I see things, and there are individuals throughout the industry that are very one-trick ponies, I've tried to diversify myself a bit over the years, but there are areas of expertise where people think that their one expertise solves every problem under the sun. I know we can look at AI and data science and ML with that right now, right? It will fix everything. You just wave your hands, throw a prompt in with the LLMs that's going around, and it will fix everything. But again, having the tolerance and building relationships across the industry is more beneficial to you. It is also more beneficial in a risk management perspective of seeing things from a different lens here. This is why SR 11.7, which is part of the Dodd-Frank risk management whole movement in 2010 came out with the separation of model development and model validation. It was having an external third party, someone without a dog in the fight, to actually review the quality and the rigor of models from a risk management perspective here. So that's math and stats and theory all being put together here. But I will tell you, as a piece of advice on this career-wise, I have built amazing relationships over the years. And again, a lot of this is not just going through the process of accepting people and not going through that judgment piece of, are they actually correct when they're talking on many things? There have been a few individuals throughout my career specifically that I met them and I was like, they don't seem very technical, they don't seem very quantitative, and yet they're out espousing that they're leading experts in these fields. And then over the years, I've realized I was wrong in many ways, and it's hard to assess quant and rigor from the outside. Also, it's starting to realize the networking piece behind the scenes of, this person might not be an expert in what they're talking about today, but there are other areas they're going to be leading experts in, perhaps, or even just in the top 10, 20%, and you could learn a lot from them. You don't need to correct everyone, though, as you go through this piece. I think this is something a lot of junior quants, such as myself when I was much younger, made. But having that perspective of looking at how do you get other values out of people? How do you understand who they are? And can they teach you other new things, right? That is really what a quant is about learning in that, thirst for learning and continual learning process. You're never going to be the know-all of everything. Everything is changing daily. It is adaptable. So I really hope you guys start to realize, whether you're on LinkedIn, whether you're in business meetings, whether you're a student working with other students, for example, try not to judge people so quickly. Also try to see that there can be value across this. There can be networking opportunities. And there might be something weird and obscure that they teach you later on the road that has nothing to do with quantitative finance, but is a great life lesson here. So anyways, if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, until next time.